Good evening. This is Eswatini TV News at 8, read to you by myself, Notile Sitole, alongside Namakabizo Ngambule. First up, let's have a look at our top stories. Her Majesty Ndlovukazi has arrived safely in the Kingdom of Morocco. The government of the Kingdom of Eswatini says the safety of all Eswatini is a priority, thus the need for the presence of security forces in the streets. Team Sagrada Esperanza from Angola says it will not be fooled by the first leg win against Royal Leopards. And now our bulletin in detail. Her Majesty the Queen Mother has arrived safely in the Kingdom of Morocco. Her Majesty is in Morocco on an official visit.
Her Majesty the Queen Mother landed at the Rabat Airport, where Her Majesty was received by the Royal Chief of Protocol, the representative of His Majesty King Mohammed VI, and the government representative. Her Majesty was also welcomed by the Ambassador of the Kingdom of Eswatini in Ethiopia, His Excellency Promise Msibi. The Kingdom of Eswatini and the Kingdom of Morocco established diplomatic relations in June 1996. The two kingdoms maintain fraternal and historical bonds and share the same values and the same attachment to the continent. The two countries also have an agreement that was signed between them, which is known as the Industrial Cooperation Protocol, and a joint declaration of intent on cooperation in the health sector. Her Majesty is on an official visit. Also part of Her Majesty's delegation is Prince Mbuyisa, Princess Situmolesihle, Chief Ngangaza, National Secretary Nhlanhla Dlamini, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, and the Principal Secretary. On the news, I am Polile Mazia with Tabiso Dlamini in Rabat, Morocco.
Government says the Kingdom of Eswatini prioritizes peace and safety of all citizens, and that is why security forces are present in the streets. This has been said by government spokesperson Sabelo Dlamini in an interview where he reiterated government's commitment to ensuring peace and safety. Dlamini says government will continue to do all it can to ensure the safety of citizens and property.
Live langwana njengekuhambisana nemthetho-sisekelo walo liyayihlonipha impilo yemuntu, liyakuhlonipha kuthula. Leli live lakhiwe ensikeni yekuthula, live lakhiwe ekuthini makukhona lesingavumelani ngako siyahlala phasi etafuleni singemaswati sikhulumisane. Live langwane linemithetho-sisekelo nje. Lo mthetho-sisekelo lesikhuluma ngawo wakhiwe ngemaswati, wakhiwe kwaba ngesingisi phecelezi kwaba nema-wide consultations, wakhulunyiswana nemaswati. Lo mthetho-sisekelo lesikhuluma ngawo unato tincabekelwano tekuthi mangabe sokukhona lokunye lofuna kukushintsha kulo mthetho-sisekelo, landzela nasesigaba nasi. Nguloko nanyalo uhulumende leselagcizelela usilive langwane lilive lelikhululekile, lilive lelikhulumisanako, lilive lelithandza ukuthi kulandzelwe umthetho njengoba unjalo. Kukhona ukuthi bese abantu beva kungazuthi hayi kugcwele emaphoyisa, kugcwele emasotsha, kwendekani. Cha, live lakangwane live lelithandza kuthula. Mawubona nje emaphoyisa etitaladini akusiko ukuthi kutohlukubeda abantu. Asesitaladini ngalokuthi atogcina kuthula kulandzela ukuthi tibe khona vele letindzaba tekukhanze sekushiswa tikolo, sekushiswa tinkundla, kushiswa tindzawo tetemphilo njengoba sakubona nje eshiselweni. Bantu ba intimidatewa bese sokhanza ukuthi sekufanele ukuthi amaphoyisa abe maningi emigwacweni nasetaladini kutawugcina kuthula kude lokunye lokwenza lokho. Ngingasinikeza isiqiniseko sokuthi uhulumende wenta konke lokusemandleni. Kungaba kucela nje nekunxusa emaswatini kuthi phela vele kumcoka lokuthi noma ngabe kukhona la kukhona lokunjako umuntu, tikhona vele tindlela tekukhulumisana kuze konke kwendeke kahle. Kude live lelingakhiwa dinjembeza nangekuthreatenishana naku-intimidatana. Lokukhulumisana kuyinsika yemaswati. Emaswati vele ayakwati nje kukhulumisana noma ngabe kunani. Nanyalo uhulumende seluhambisa lokwembili. Kuthi akubebede tinjembeza singemaswati sisanele la singavani khona, sikhulumisane lama khona la sinyatheleke khona. Kuhambe embili kuhloniphana. nekukhulumisana, nekunakekelana.
The Council of Eswatini Churches appeals for respect of lives and condemns the violence witnessed in the country. The chairperson, Reverend Begindlela Magongo, calls on Eswatini to desist from any action that may cause harm to the next person.
Following Wednesday's unrest, the Council of Eswatini Churches says what was witnessed on the day in question was unfortunately. The Council's chairperson, Reverend Begindlela Magongo, during a press briefing said there is great need for all parties involved to engage in a dialogue.
We therefore call upon every Leswati to uphold the sanctity of life and desist from any action that may cause harm to the next person. While condemning violent protests, breaking of the law, and the use of abusive language, we are asking ourselves, how many more people must be shot and killed? How many more structures must be burnt down? How many more Emaswati must lose their jobs? And for how long must we continue to depriving our children their right to education in order for us to realize the need to talk? Fellow Emaswati, it is time to calm down.
Reverend Magongo gave assurance to the effect that the organization is not taking sides in the current situation and will remain neutral but advocates for peace and stability in the country. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, with Vuminkosi Nzinisa Mbabane.
United Nations Population Fund Eswatini officer in charge Margaret Twala Dembe says the $600,000 for disabled persons will strictly benefit them. Dembe said this during a workshop between UNFPA, the Deputy Prime Minister's office as well as associations representing the disability sector.
Margaret Twala Dembe, who is the United Nations Population Fund Eswatini officer in charge, says during the workshop with the disability sector, there were complaints to an extent that funds intended for disability programs end up not being used for such activities.
Or structures, because you can't give money to an entity that does not even have any board of directors, because then there would be no accountability. So where we are now, we are assigning different responsibilities. Some of the responsibilities are actually going to be led by them, with us as the United Nations providing technical support as well as government. But we are seeing how, or we are planning to ensure that these interventions are fitting into the cooperation framework between the government of Eswatini and the United Nations to ensure accountability and monitoring.
The Deputy Prime Minister's Office Acting Social Welfare Department Officer, Cindy Dube, outlined how the fund will be used.
Finalize the proposal that is going to UN for funding for some of the projects which government is currently supporting to empower persons with disabilities and also to ensure that disability mainstreaming is done across all spheres of life in the country.
The Federation Organization of Disabled People in Eswatini President Sipho Dlamini appreciates the funding.
Having got it, we will be in a position at least to execute the programs that are in waiting, because we've got programs and plans for disability that hasn't been executed. So it will enable us to ensure that those programs are done and to the betterment of the lives of persons with disability.
The main objective of the workshop between the United Nations Population Fund, DPM's office, as well as associations for disabled persons was to review the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, with Vuminkosi Nzinisa Ezulwini.
The Ministry of Health says it has collected a lot of blood samples this week, which will help Emaswati who might have different needs for blood transfusion in all the government hospitals around the country. The Director of Health Services, Dr. Vusi Makakula, says although there are certain blood types that are scarce, the ministry hopes more Emaswati are yet to come forward to donate blood.
The Director of Health Services, Dr. Vusimagagula, says people came in high volumes to donate blood this week.
Some women, when they're delivering, they may need blood. And another one that is prominent is we have cancer patients who we find that they do need blood donations. So there's many uses of blood. There are many products that actually come out of blood. It's not just the whole blood. We also sometimes need part of blood, like, for example, platelets and all which are found in blood. But those are blood products which we always need. So it is important. Yes, I will confirm that we've had an increasing number this week. In fact, I can say we have record numbers which we actually collected in one day. And the place was swamped. And we thank Eswatini, we thank all who actually donated blood, because you donate blood, you are saving a life. In the last 2 days, we've collected a total of 230 samples as of yesterday. So we started on Monday. We got actually 127 as of yesterday in Babane, and we got over 50 from Mazini. Starting from Monday, then the total is up to 230, which is commendable indeed.
During the first outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic last year, government announced that there was shortage of blood samples, which led to a campaign urging people to donate blood. The Director of Health Services says it is encouraging to see Eswatini coming out in numbers to donate blood. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Ngamandla with Mbongwa Dube, Babane.
The chairperson of the faith-based organization's COVID-19 task team, Bishop Samson Hlatswago, urges the church to continue taking the COVID-19 vaccine. This comes after government announced last week that the number of people taking the vaccine is declining. Hlatswago was speaking at Mahlanya.
The Prime Minister Cleopas Dlamini last week said there has been a decline in the number of people taking the COVID-19 vaccine. The chairperson of the faith-based organization's COVID-19 task team, Bishop Samson Hlatswago, urges the church to continue taking the vaccine.
Angeke kuvulwe emasondo okuthandaza ingakakhuli le nombolo. Sina kukhule le nombolo bese iyasho ukuthi cha emasondweni sesingabuyela ngalesimo besithandaza ngaso.
He says taking the vaccine is the only way the church can go back and worship in full capacity, as this has been said by the Ministry of Health, even for other sectors. He further says taking the vaccine is still a wise choice, adding that he has also taken it and is in good health. The chairperson further says the vaccine hesitancy is not an option, as lives are at stake. A statement by the Ministry of Health on Thursday states that 230,374 people have been fully vaccinated in the country. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Ngamandla with Mbongwa Dube, Babane.
Two brothers who have been found guilty of the murder of their father have filed an urgent application for bail pending their appeal. The two brothers, Sipho and Bongan Dlamini, were sentenced to 9 years imprisonment without the option of a fine, with 3 years suspended. They claim that the court erred in law and in finding, or rather in fact finding them guilty, that the deceased was the aggressor.
The two applicants in the matter are Sipho and Bongan Dlamini, who were convicted of culpable homicide. They were found guilty of assaulting their father, who later died, resulting in them being sentenced to 9 years imprisonment without an option to pay a fine, with a suspended sentence of 3 years. The two brothers have approached the High Court praying for bail pending their appeal of the sentence. They have submitted that they have prospects of success on appeal, since the court that tried their matter erred in law and in fact by finding them guilty of culpable homicide, in that the deceased was the aggressor. During trial, it was said that the deceased succumbed to injuries in a few days after being assaulted by the duo. The bone of contention was that the deceased asked the duo's mother to dish up for him, but she refused, whereafter the late father reportedly tried to assault her. In the bail application, The applicants claim that the court erred in law and in fact by convicting them in that it was not shown that they exceeded the bounds of self-defense inasmuch as it was not that they were the aggressors. Sipho and Bongani have told the court that their sentence means that they will spend 6 years in prison without an option of a fine. They claim that the circumstances of the case did not call for such a harsh sentence, taking into account that they were trying to rescue their mother from their deceased. They have told the court that the sentence has imposed a sense of shock to them, being first offenders who pleaded guilty to the offense. They have submitted that they have prospects of success on appeal in that another court will definitely come to a different conclusion based on the evidence adduced by Crown witnesses. The Crown is opposing the application. The court has postponed the matter to the 2nd of November. In this matter, the applicants are represented by Osborne Zima, while standing in for the Crown is Badi Masango. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosi Mavimbela, High Court.
The High Court has postponed the bail hearing of Somiso Dlamini, who has been arrested and charged for allegedly stabbing his wife and father-in-law at Hawani. The accused claims he did not have the intention to stab his wife, but he acted in self-defense. Thus, the Crown has opposed the application.
Somiso Dlamini faces 2 charges. The attempted murder of his wife Nolwazi Mncina, whom he allegedly stabbed in the neck, shoulder and hand. He is also accused of contravening the Sexual Offences and Domestic Violence Act of 2018 in that he allegedly stabbed his father-in-law, Sipho Mncina, with a knife once in the right cheek. Dlamini, who is currently kept in custody at the Mbabane police station, has filed an urgent application for bail. He has told the court that he never committed the said offences and shall plead not guilty at trial. Dlamini has told the court that he stays at Maguga area with his wife. He has also told the court that in August his wife went to Johannesburg to seek employment, leaving him with their children. Dlamini has submitted to the court that while his wife was away, she did not call and he did not have any way of contacting her. He has also submitted to the court that in October he heard that his wife had long returned from Johannesburg but stayed at her parental home at Hawani. Dlamini has told the court that he was able to get in touch with his wife, who told him that she was not ready to return to her marital homestead. He has further told the court that he then went to Hawani to engage his wife. The accused has alleged that he did not find his wife at Hawani and upon her return, she was in the company of gentlemen unknown to him. He has alleged that when he confronted her about her behavior, a big fight ensued, resulting in him sustaining injuries on the body. Dlamini has alleged that after seeing that he could lose his life, he managed to get hold of one of the weapons they were assaulting him with, and that was when his wife and father-in-law sustained some injuries. Dlamini claims that he never intentionally caused any injuries on his wife, as at all material times in relation to the attempted murder charge, he was acting in self-defense. The Crown has opposed this application. The court has postponed the matter to next Wednesday for hearing. The accused is represented by Noncedo Dlangamandla in this matter, while standing in for the Crown is Badi Masango of the Chambers of the Director of Public Prosecutions. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosi Mavimbela, High Court.
The Ministry of Natural Resources and Energy has assured the nation that there is no fuel shortage in the country, so people should stop panic buying. This was said by the Ministry's Communications Officer, Sigelela Khoza, in an interview with Eswatini TV.
Earlier this week, there were long queues seen in most filling stations across the country. However, the Ministry of Natural Resources and Energy has come out to give assurance that the country has enough fuel. The assurance was given by the Minister of Natural Resources and Energy Communications Officer, Sigelela Khoza, when giving a clear picture regarding the suspected fuel shortage.
The situation has been stable. We have the supply now, the adequate supply in most of our filling stations. Here in Mbabane we do have, in most of the filling stations we do have fuel, which consists of the diesel and petrol as well. And in most of the big towns and small towns of the country, they also have the fuel as well. Just to make an example, from Peaks Peak coming down to Mbabane, Eswatini, and the whole of the capital city in Mbabane, we do have fuel, and Manzini as well. We're hoping that those filling stations that they don't have at the moment, we just want to assure the nation that there will be supply of the fuel before end of business today, but mostly of the fuel stations now they do have the supply.
Last week, only GAP filling stations reported that they did not have enough petrol after encountering some challenges where they source fuel. The company had promised that it was working around the clock to resolve the issue. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, with Vuminkosi Nzinisa Mbabane.
The chairperson of the Federation of Eswatini Business Community in the Hoho region, Johannes Manigela, urges business people in the region to apply for the Reconstruction Fund following the opening of applications by the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade. Manigela says business people should take full advantage of the fund in order to revive their businesses to improve the country's economy.
The Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade says business people who were affected during the recent unrest can now apply for the Reconstruction Fund. The chairperson of the Federation of Eswatini Business Community in the Hoho region, Johannes Manigela, urges business people in the region to take full advantage of the fund. He appreciates government's efforts in helping Emaswati whose businesses were either burnt, destroyed or looted during the unrest. He pleads with the protesters not to destroy businesses as they play a vital role in uplifting the economy. He further urges people who have grievances to resolve matters in an amicable way rather than resorting to destroying businesses. Manigela says the Federation will do its part in sensitizing Emaswati to make full use of the fund. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla with Mbongwa Dube, Mbabane.
And now we'll have a look at our financial markets.
Standard Bank. It can be.
Good evening once again. You are still watching Eswatini TV. Let's have a look at our sports news. Sagrada Esperanza's head coach Roque Sapiri says they will not be fooled by the first leg win against Royal Leopards. Sapiri was speaking when his team was training at the Mavuso Sports Center ahead of their second leg CAF Champions League clash.
Sagrada Esperanza is currently in the country for their second leg CAF Champions League clash against Royal Leopard. Sagrada won the first leg by 3-1. Even with that scoreline, the head coach, speaking through an interpreter, says the first leg means nothing.
It doesn't give us comfort because football is football, but we have a good team and we try to overcome all the difficulties that we can find.
Sagrada's striker, George Mendes, says they only want to progress to the group stages.
We came here to win, even though the result is 3-1, but we came here to win. If we can't win, we're going to try by all means to go to the group stages.
The game will be played at the Mavuso Sports Center on Saturday at 3 p.m. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports News, I am Patizo Msibe at the King Swatini 3rd International Airport, Skopje.
Eswatini national cricket team player Melusi Makakola says lack of preparatory games ahead of the T20 African World Cup qualifiers in Rwanda is what made them to perform so poorly in the tournament.
The Eswatini cricket national team was competing in the T20 World Cup qualifiers African edition in Rwanda. The team did not have a good competition as they were able to only win one game of the 6 that they played. Melus Makakula says the reason they did not play well is because they did not train well while going to that games.
We need to work on some few things. Our opening batting partnership is okay, and usually once one wicket falls, the rest just tremble, and that goes to lack of training. Going back home, we need to work on giving ourselves more time in training, improving in selecting the best players in the country, and try and encourage more Swazis and people to get involved with cricket, because cricket in Eswatini, the only way it can improve is if we get more people to participate.
The team is expected to arrive back in the country tomorrow on Saturday. Reporting for Eswatini, TV Sports News, I am Patizum CV. Babane.
That's all for now. Before we conclude, let's have a look at our top stories. Her Majesty Ndlovukazi has arrived safely in the Kingdom of Morocco. The government of the Kingdom of Eswatini says the safety of all Eswati is a priority, thus the need for the presence of security forces in the streets. Team Sagrada Esperanza from Angola says it will not be fooled by the first leg win against Royal Leopards. And with that, we sum up our bulletin for the evening. Up next is the weather update from myself and the team. Thank you for tuning in. Good night.